Who gets the Mumps in 2019? And RE/MAX is partnering with Redfin. What is going on? You gotta watch this one. This is Toole Time. Special guest in the house, Byron Lazine, Mr. 5 a.m. himself. We've got Jess Lyon here as always. I'm Tom Toole. We got some pretty interesting topics to cover today. So let's jump into the first one. This dropped yesterday, and we're pre-recording this a little bit. RE/MAX is partnering with Redfin. Two very opposite companies. So you're the guest, Byron. What do you think?
You actually, am I the first guest?
You're the only guest.
I'm the only guest ever. So
Yeah.
that goes down in the history books,
Woo!
first of all. But no, you forwarded me the email, and I was like, holy smokes. It was like an hour after the news broke yesterday, basically.
Yes.
And, I kind of headline read. And then when you told me, okay, this is more of what they quoted as strategic partnership. It's going to be leads under a certain threshold. I think you said $250,000.
$250,000, yeah.
Right? So that doesn't make as much sense as my initial reaction. Okay? If Redfin, who struggled to recruit agents, to retain great agents across the country, was going to say, we're going to take or partner with RE/MAX and utilize great agents in this country that have historically performed at high levels, that would have made a lot of sense to me. But to me, it feels like Op City. It feels like, any one of these lead generators that's going to rip a big referral off of the top. And so do I think it works long term? No, not unless they give RE/MAX more leads, better leads, at probably a smaller rip than 40 or 45% or whatever they're looking to get. I don't know what that number is, but that's what Op City's looking to get. That's what a lot of these referral sites are getting right now, 40%. You guys know that. And so I think if that's the game, then it's just more of the same that's working for everybody else over the last 12 months.
So I think you would call that a racket from your
That
show?
would definitely be a racket to me. I'd classify this one as a racket. I'm going to talk about this for sure on The Real Word.
Jess, thoughts?
I just had a question with it. Like, why would Redfin partner with RE/MAX agents when their agents were supposed to be the best? They were doing their job for a flat fee. Like, why are they going this direction when they were supposed to be taking over? Why would they not do their own thing? Why would they recruit another brokerage?
So I'll answer that one.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Most discount brokerages go out of business. If you look over the history of real estate, I can look at the past 18 years. Companies like Assist to Sell, Help You Sell. Purple Bricks is totally bankrupt. They're already done. Redfin agents are not responsive. Have you guys done transactions with Redfin agents?
I've done one, and it was
market.
Okay, you've done one.
Tragic, yeah.
Yeah, and they don't respond. I've got way too much going on. I've been showing houses all day. They don't value it as much as an agent does because they don't have the same skin in the game. They're getting that salary no matter what versus we eat what we kill as
Absolutely.
realtors. So to me, I don't really get the partnership because to your point, if it's $250 or less and it's only available in certain zip codes and it's not in where we work, I already checked on this and did the research, you're looking at a smaller piece of the pie for a client that's already maybe a bottom feeder, if you want to call them that. So they're probably going to be busting your chops the whole time, giving you a hard time. They're looking for a deal. Redfin couldn't sustain it. They couldn't handle their business model, and now they're trying to. Their website is the only value piece because people like the website.
I think that's the thing. I think they are generating a lot of leads. And we're not putting down every Redfin agent out there. Of course, we're not doing that. But they haven't been able to recruit top talent, right? And so if you can't do that, you've got to take, if you've got this great website, you've got to take these leads and put them somewhere. To me, Redfin should focus on what they've actually been good at, which has been, building tech. They've been decent at that, right? Like, maybe you are the company that compete with Zillow, but don't try to be everything. Pick that one thing and then use a company that's got great agents. So this is kind of like, half-baked, not even half-baked, right? Like, they're barely getting there.
I want to read you guys some text that I got from some other agents at our firm that are veterans, been doing this for a while, and this kind of shows you the industry reaction. Every referral fee that a RE/MAX agent pays to Redfin will be used by Redfin to take business away from us. What the F is RE/MAX partnering with Redfin for? Is this a joke? They should be trying to step on that company. So the reaction, and I think that's probably the most important thing, the reaction is, what are they doing? The reality is, I don't see this being any different than Op City, UpNest, HomeLight, all these people that try to get in between us and our clients and take a piece of the pie.
In RE/MAX, these are top RE/MAX agents?
They need to sell a certain number of transactions a year. I think they need to do at least 5 transactions a year in order.
At Redfin?
The RE/MAX agents are going to be getting these Redfin.
Yeah. There's a minimum standard.
Yeah.
Yep.
So these are people that are have historically done 40, 50, 60 transactions a year over a long period of time. So I would call them upper level agents for sure. I mean, that's top 4 or 5% in the country, sometimes top 1% depending on the number.
There's so many top agents in this country with the RE/MAX brand, and they're just like, hey, this is like, we can just put them out of business without helping them. I think that's their ultimate point, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's how I read it, and I also know that a lot of people don't understand like lead flow and all these different, these are agents that rely on geographic farming, sweat equity, expireds, for sale by owners, their sphere. The internet lead game, it's very different right now.
Yeah, I would say it's not as good as it once was.
I think sucks might be a better word.
The internet lead game is not as good, and it's definitely changing. Doesn't mean it's going away. Like, nothing has gone away, right? Like, direct mail still works for a lot of people. But there's definite adjustments that need to happen in online lead game.
So it looks like a 3-way thumbs down on the idea here is what I'm hearing.
No.
I'm gonna say they almost had it, right? Like, they needed to go all the way. I'm definitely thumbs down.
All right. Next topic, Jess. You brought this one up to me, so why don't you lead in, tell us your take, and then Brian and I can kind of chime in here.
It's concerning to me because I live right down the street, but at Temple they actually had 49 cases of the mumps just break out. They're requiring their students to get vaccinated. So I kind of wanted to get your take on vaccinations, people who are against vaccinations. What are you thinking?
Who gets the mumps in 2019? Like, this is ridiculous to me. That these are diseases that have been beaten.
Yeah.
They have vaccines, and you have these parents that say, I'm not vaccinating my kid because it's not good for them until they get the mumps or until they get like polio or measles. Measles has had a big problem of late. People have been getting measles. These diseases are beaten. What is with parents? I mean, do you know better than the doctor? Like, why even go?
I know a huge concern. Sorry to cut you
No,
off.
go.
So I'm passionate about this.
I like
can
this. I
tell.
like this.
He was like, Jess, are you vaccinated? Because my mom is one of those people who is very curious about vaccination. She's like, I don't know what's in it. I don't know if I want to put that into my children. I think it's the National Information Center for Vaccinations or something like that. I have to fact check on that one. But they do a lot of research into vaccinations and things like that leading to autism. So I get where the concern is. But like you're saying, these diseases, I mean, they're basically cured. Why are you getting them today?
My big concern right now is I don't know what vaccinations I've ever had, so I don't
Me
even know what
neither.
I'm vaccinated for. Now it brings up this whole, like, I'm going to be calling my mom when I leave here today and asking her what I'm vaccinated for. I certainly would believe mumps because I've heard it a lot. I'm really ignorant with this stuff, obviously, as you can tell, that it seems like it should be something that was taken care of before you went to school or whatever.
Well,
right?
it's usually when you're like an infant. I mean, this is usually when this happens.
Yeah, so like, my daughter just had a bunch of
and
vaccinations.
So
I
full
believe.
disclosure, my wife is a nurse in a previous career, so I probably know a little bit more about this from her than anyone else. And this is a big problem going on right now. There's people getting admitted to hospitals, like kids, like babies, infants, toddlers, that they're not vaccinated and they're getting these diseases that are from like the 16th century. I'm having a real hard time with this, and it's just another example of people not doing the research and saying, I don't know what's in there. Well, why don't you get educated about it, understand what's happening, versus just saying, well, I don't know what's in there, so we're not going to do it. I mean, Jim Henson, the creator of the Muppets, died from a cold because he wouldn't go to a doctor, right? I mean, but like, this is the stuff that happens, and
Absolutely.
And it's a huge
You're very
reminder of
passionate
like
about this.
health is the number one thing we all have. Like, you need to protect that. That's your sacred, valuable asset in life. If you have it and you're lucky to have it, protect it with everything you got. Because I would not want to be.
There's a lot of stuff you can't cure.
Well, would not be out of action, not be able to crush Redfin agents. You know what I mean? Like,
Because you got the mumps.
Because I got the
Or the
mumps
measles.
or something.
Bubonic
you know?
plague, maybe.
And any Redfin agents that are my friends, which I don't think I have any. Sorry if I offended
Friends or
agents.
friends, okay.
So
What do you got? What's your opinion on this?
I would say you have to do what's right in the best interest of your most valuable assets, your children. So definitely, I mean, do your research and get them vaccinated. Otherwise, they could end up really, really sick, spreading into other kids.
I would talk to, like they say in real estate, talk to 3 doctors, right? Interview all 3, figure out which one you like the
There you
most,
go.
and go with that.
That's a good one.
But the one that's most qualified and certainly has the best presentation you trust the most. That's what I would do.
Sure. I
Interview
agree.
the doctors.
The reason you go to the doctor is because they went to school to take care of you in this situation. So when you don't go against their advice and then you blame them for it or whatever's happening, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So get vaccinated, everybody. That's my advice.
Interview the good doctors like you would a good real estate agent.
Absolutely.
Very cool. So third part of the show here, final segment, motivational quote. We heard this today. It's from Nelson Mandela. Our deepest fear is not that we are weak. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. Jess, your thoughts. What does that mean?
I think one of the scariest things is that I think about is not like what if I can't do it, but what if I do it, and the challenges that come along with that. I think this is something that I fear all the time. Like bigger than fear of failure is fear of if I actually make it. I mean, what's that going to look like? What am I going to do with it? I love this quote.
Yeah, well, because to actually make it, like, we're going to have to shed people from our life. We're going to have to make
gonna
tough
have to do things that
decisions.
hurt, yeah.
You're going to have to, exactly, do things that hurt. And maybe it's not intentional to hurt other people, but maybe you're not spending as much time with somebody that you used to spend time with, but they don't want to do the same things you want to do. They're not on the same path. And there are going to be casualties, right? When you take
Absolutely.
that hard line, I'm going to go and do everything I can to be the person I'm supposed to be, things are going to happen. And so I think that's the fear that most people have. And I don't believe too many people are thinking that they're weak and you're reinforcing that type of thinking. It's more of like, well, no, my mom needs me 3 days a week. And really that person is sucking the time out of them just because that's what they believe they should be doing with their time, right? And they're making people feel guilty.
Yeah, I was facing this the other night. We were having like a St. Patrick's Day dinner or whatever, and it's 8 o'clock. I'm writing up an offer. They're literally sitting there with their hands folded, waiting for me to get done writing this offer. And you kind of cut into things like spending time with your family, and it seems like you're choosing, you know, your business over your family, and sometimes you have to do that. I mean, to get where you need to be, you're going to have to make those sacrifices a little bit.
You know, there's actually, I heard this from a couple people. It's that they're like, oh, wow, you've changed a lot since you became successful. And the response was, this was, I think, from Sharon Srivatsa. He's CEO of Kingston Lane. I think Jay-Z actually said it too. I didn't work this hard to stay the same. Like, you don't work it, like, you don't want to work this hard to be doing the same thing you were doing at the time. There was an end game or a vision or something that you wanted. And yeah, I mean, it's a really good point because people kind of get offended. And my point is, that's your path. I'm going to love and care about you no matter what. Things change. I mean, you can't do the same thing to what got you here isn't going to get you there, is the idea.
And change, having a growth mindset is a healthy thing, right? Like imagine if you were a tree and you could never change. You could never move. You couldn't move locations and go to different places. Like, how depressing would that be if you were a tree? Could you imagine that? So we've got the ability, you didn't think we were gonna go there on this, off of this
Like,
quote,
wow,
right?
that was great.
We've got the ability to, as human beings, to do anything we possibly want. And sometimes that gift can actually be the thing that holds us back, so.
So don't be afraid, I guess is the point.
Don't be afraid.
We were, this was all on the same side here. Good stuff. Byron,
We're all
brother,
on the same side.
appreciate you, Jess. We do this every
Byron.
week.
Thank you. I want to be back for the fence.
The fence?
I want
The big fence.
Fence.
We'll video you
reveal.
in for the fence because
We
our
have
last
fun
fence
stuff coming.
sucks. You told me that. We got some ideas. So if anyone wants to send us a fence, you're in the fencing business, hit us up.
I might get a little sponsorship deal out of that.
Catch you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.